ladies and gentlemen, it's my singular privilege to welcome you to this special AGM of African Tourism Board, and I'm truly grateful. I can see we are already 43 of us who are present, and the number is likely to go up as we start the meeting. This being our very first meeting, I think it's only important that we are able to thank God for the far we have come, and for the last year, despite the turbulence that we went through, we have been able to weather the storm, and now we are in 2021. So Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
And happy new ATB, perhaps. I want to take this opportunity then to quickly say that our meeting is going to be very focused. It has
I think your microphone went off. I muted everyone. I'm so sorry because we had so much background noise. If you can please turn your microphone back on, and then we can.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you so much, Jürgen, for that. And so members, most welcome to our first AGM, and I'm most privileged to be able to chair this session on behalf of our very able chair, Cathbert, who is going to make a very detailed report. So I think it's only fair that one of us is able to coordinate the discussion for the sake of ensuring that we are able to go through this. Now, I'm sure we all have received a copy of the agenda for today's meeting. And so I'm not going to take too long, other than the fact that we are here for a very important purpose. That's why we are not going into any introductions or anything else. Being a special meeting, I think we want to go straight to this particular important agenda. The first agenda for the day is the ATB Chair's report to the members, and then especially the stakeholders who are present, and to ensure that we are able to know where we have come from, where we are, and where we are going. So on that note, may I welcome our Cathbert to be able to take us through the agenda number one.
Thank you so much, Chair. I really appreciate to my esteemed colleagues, our ambassadors, our chairs of committees, and I believe that we do have ministers in our midst. I just want to welcome you in a very special way. It is with great appreciation, colleagues, as we acknowledge God's providences, as the chair has alluded, that we all can attest to. 2020 surely had been a very challenging year for all of us. We have lost our loved ones through the pandemic. We have lost a degree of our livelihoods. This thing has devastated our entities, but there is one thing we need to be most grateful. It is the gift of life. Let's all celebrate and live it to the fullest. And by the way, He who has brought us this far, He will surely and faithfully carry us through 2021. May I take the privilege, colleagues, to congratulate our patron, Dr. Taleb, for his appointment as the Secretary General of the World Tourism Forum Institute. That is a link to the World Economic Forum. It is a progressive milestone for African Tourism Board within the global travel space. Through it all, ATB has made so much strides and inroads during the year 2020. May I share with all our members the highlights and the progress made by your undivided commitment and dedication in fighting for equal share and rebranding of our continent to be a preferred tourist destination of choice for our travelers, with much emphasis on our domestic and intra-Africa travel. November 2019, African Tourism Board was invited to participate on global investment opportunities in sustainable tourism, mainly focusing on drawing investments towards the continent. It was hosted by the International Tourism Institute in collaboration with the World Tourism Market in London. And in February 2020, African Tourism Board was invited to officiate the opening of Uwanda in Tanzania, where bilateral engagements were discussed and agreed upon in collaboration with the travel and also investment sectors. In May 2020, African Tourism Board hosted the Rapid Economic Recovery Response as the world was facing an insurgence of the pandemic. In April 2020, the World Tourism Market, that's in Africa, and REIT exhibition requested African Tourism Board to participate in a high-level session moderated by our African Tourism Board President, Alain Sandenge. Unfortunately, that was the very same time when lockdowns were implemented across the globe. Colleagues, in June 2020, ATB signed the Society of Incentive Travel Excellence in Africa. We also participated, and the emphasis was on how do we position the continent within our global space. As we ran to 2020 July Africa Travel Week in partnership with the World Tourism Market and REITs exhibition, requested African Tourism Board to be part of the panel discussion on recovery, especially within the African tourism space. In July 2020, we had our first ministerial roundtable engagement that was led by Dr. Taleb and participated by the rest of us here today. We can attest to it. 2020 in August, Qatar Travel Med requested African Tourism Board to be part of their summit participation with a focus on Africa, readiness and willingness, whether opening these discussions were the highlight and the inauguration of African Tourism Board within the Asian travel space. In September, we ushered the climax, that was the climax of African Tourism Board, when the CEO of TSECO, that's the Tourism Development and Facility Management Company in Nigeria, invited African Tourism Board to be part of the unveiling inauguration of Africa Tourism Day, which attracted a wide continental and global audience, participated, and a wide audience of viewers as well. Colleagues, this day should be a memorial and a legacy and a long-term relationship between the two entities, and an endorsement and officially marking it as an annual event. September 2020, African Tourism Board hosted its second ministerial roundtable that attracted 5 continental ministers and leaders within the travel sector, where the emphasis and the focus was how best can we actually rebrand in a synchronized way, how best can we coordinate our efforts within the continent. October 2020, we had our 3rd ministerial roundtable with 5 ministers who graced our occasion. May I then pause, colleagues, and accredit once again Dr. Taleb for his dedication in this industry, and appreciate that we have committed giants in our midst. President Alain, your approach and your quiet diplomacy, always gracing your experience in your busy schedules, and all our chairs, our committees, our ambassadors, each and every one of you have played a very important role in building African Tourism Board. I can go on and on. In October 2020, Polar Projects is an organization that is based in the UK. They are within the medical tourism space, invited African Tourism Board to facilitate and engage on a panel discussion on the Africa Tourism Show. October 2020, African Tourism Board was invited to participate on Africa Brand Summit that was hosted in Cape Town, South Africa, which was a hybrid summit that brought together global players within our travel and economic sectors. In November 2020, the International Tourism Institute, in partnership with the World Travel Market, invited African Tourism Board to be part of their virtual summit, where the focus was on investment, on finance, and rebuilding the travel and tourism industry. Our departure point as African Tourism Board is how best can we draw investment appetite to our beautiful African continent. In November 2020, the World Tourism Forum Institute brought in African Tourism Board in their hybrid summit that was hosted in Dubai. We had the privilege and honor to be part of the great engagement that also brought more than 10 ministers together, mostly from the African continent. In the interest of time, dear colleagues and friends, it is a great privilege to emerge victoriously from a dark era of 2020, meeting for the first time in this new year of 2021 at our fully constituted AGM. 2021 is the African Tourism Board. We are opening a new page in our history as an organization. Every year we celebrate, it affords us to set a new pace and write a new chapter in our existence. Strategic partnerships are being signed with strategic partners across the globe. We have endorsed a global tourism business summit to be hosted in September at Emperor's Palace in Johannesburg, where all our members across the globe will merge to this great event. It is a two-day event. We have engaged our advisory board member, Honorable Minister Vilakazi. The discussions are at a very advanced level where we need to have ministerial tours to Eswatini, where both the ministers will hold a ministerial roundtable. There, as I believe that as an organization, we need to do things differently, to sell a holistic bucket of Africa to our visitors coming to the continent. We are looking at engaging and implementing projects and supporting our individual entities as a priority number one. Dear colleagues, we can do so much together as I invite you to take charge and ownership of this great initiative, African Tourism Board. As I close, colleagues, a lot of negative energy has been channeled on African Tourism Board platforms. This is a new era, and this is a new dawn, and this is a new 2021 that God has afforded to each and every one of us. Our destination is not going to be defined by yesteryear. It's not going to be defined by yesterday. The more you feed your subconscious with negatives, the more you become negative. Therefore, may I present African Tourism Board new platforms from ambassadors, from chairs, from Project Hope. Let the administrators add you to the African Tourism Board 2020 charts platforms. And I would really plead and request that we exit all the other ATB. We need a fresh objective attitude that will take Africa and our entities to the global space. As I close once again, colleagues, I would want to recommend the candidature from Bahrain, our honorable minister, as she's standing as one of the candidates for the UNWTO SG Secretary General. May we all rally behind her. May we all pray May we all put our efforts together to make sure we have the right candidate who understands tourism, who has a heart glued and focused on making a global inclusion within the tourism sector. I would really appreciate, as we are going to be engaging, as we are going to be deliberating, we need to really focus on rebuilding ourselves, rebuilding this organization, take it to the greater strength. All of us, each and every one of us, I have said that in the past, that we all represent a brick. So brick by brick, we will be able to build a solid foundation. Brick by brick, we'll be able to build a solid wall, so that at the end of the day, when we have ran the race, when we look back, we need to say we have ran a good race and we have fought a good fight. Ladies and gentlemen, as I put my closing remarks, a wise man once said, a good leader is he who builds a house or he who plants a tree where he is not going to enjoy the fruits thereof. It is a tree that will actually be able to be a shelter to the birds. It will be a tree that will be a shelter and provide provision and provide fruits to those who pass by under that tree. May the good Lord be with each and every one of us as I wish you all the best for 2021. It is a good year. God has brought us this far. He has something good for us. And me and you, we need to contribute positively towards our objective, towards within our tourism sector. I thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Sorry, thank you so much, Chair. I really wish we had an open forum. This would have been a standing ovation for you for sharing so far what ATB has been able to achieve over the last 1 year and where we want to go moving from here. I do completely agree with you that, and you have demonstrated in your presentation, the need to focus on being driven by solutions to Africa's tourism sector challenges, rather than focusing on the problems. We need to move away from negative energy, which probably has slowed us down, but it has not killed the spirit. We in Kenya are known to be very famous for running marathons. And one thing that we have learned is that when you see a marathon beginning, it starts off with a crowd, but not everyone in the crowd is going to finish the marathon. And not everyone in the crowd is likely to be the first one when the race ends. We know that you start slowly, you build up the momentum, and I think where we are now, we have laid the foundation for ATB to be able to take off. In our second, third year of existence, we should be able to do great things from now on.
Professor, I want to ask Dr. Taleb Rifai, who gonna represent in Africa, the West African region? That's what my question.
Okay. We said that as with West Africa, we have Abigail, who comes from Nigeria, who is representing on this short-term committee only. I don't think we are going to have a representation from everybody, everywhere now. We're just having 5 people, 2 from South Africa, because that's where the office is based and that's where all the legal matters have to be sorted. Then we have our brother Walter Mzembe from Central Africa, and then we have Abigail, West Africa, and myself from East Africa.
That's yes. Only temporary. That's only temporary, sir.
So I was asking who is seconding the proposal.
Dr. Rifai. Dr. Rifai.
Yes, yes.
My question was not that only, because when we choose Ivory Coast in the place of Senegal, and Senegal is in the region, the first actor in tourism. So the power and the result of Senegalese tourism is different to Ivory Coast and Ghana and other countries. Of course, Senegal is French speaking. So if in the committee you choose one French language and one English language, it will be better. That was my questions. According to the power and the position of every country in tourism, not to choose South Africa, Ivory Coast, because Ivory Coast is not having more power in tourism than Senegal. That's my point of view.
Taleb, you want to react to that?
Taleb,
Please unmute yourself. Taleb, unmute yourself.
I have great respect to Senegal. I was elected the first time as Deputy Secretary General of UNWTO in Senegal, in Dakar. So I know exactly how important Senegal is. But we are not electing any committee that's of permanent shape at all. What we're saying here is this group of people are elected for their personality, not for what they represent. They have to carry us just until March, until the end of March. After the end of March, we will elect freely the committee members, permanent committee members. And then I would insist, like you, I'll be on your side 100%. I'll insist that Senegal be represented and the French-speaking would be represented. Must represent French-speaking, must represent English-speaking, must represent the Portuguese-speaking as well. I think so. But that's all part of the new charter.
Ibrahim.
Yes, sorry.
Ibrahim.
Can I just add something, Professor?
Yes,
I support all what you're saying here. Just to comment on one thing, since we will be having 5 members, could we have then the 5 members also nominated as the directors together with Cuthbert and Jürgen? So that means there would be 7. They would represent 7 as directors, temporary directors until March. Would that be the same? Or should you nominate 3 more separate directors? Because that you're talking about 5 members that are going to work on the charter, which is fine, absolutely fine. But my point was, should you nominate 3 or 5 to be part of the board of directors, temporary board of directors till March?
Thank you, Ibrahim. I think from the legal advice we have received, that will not be necessary now. I think we will not want to we will cross that bridge when it comes to March. By then we will have handled all the legal issues surrounding the existence, the current the board of directors as they are. So we need the 5 of them to go through the process until that point where we will feel like now the 3 have resigned, so we need to fill up the positions, and maybe at that point we will need to go a different approach, given that we'll have come up with a charter that clearly explains how we want to run ATB.
Professor Masibo, if I just come in technically, we have a few people raising hand. I just made you a co-host so you can see it as well, because I know you couldn't see who was raising hand. So if you look at it.
Right.
Now. Okay.
It's important to have everybody here.
Yeah, Muzembe, Walter.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in view of the sensitivities characterizing French-speaking Africa and English-speaking Africa, and the need to be inclusive and magnanimous in our co-options. Perhaps a parting off statement to Mr. Mohammed would be that this committee should be given the latitude to co-opt additional members to diversify its standing as it executes its work. And if I'm in that committee, I can assure you that we will make sure that we co-opt members from French-speaking Africa, so that we reflect the language diversity and the product offerings as they currently are constituted in Africa. Yeah.
Right.
I think that is fair enough. We should be able to give the committee that mandate. Eventually, they may need to have someone who will be a secretary to the committee, and perhaps co-opting will be the best way to go. Once the mandate is very clear and the terms of reference have been given as spelled out here, I think that should be fine. Could I then, at this point juncture, go back to the chair and ask him to share with us which dates he's looking at in March? When should this committee submit the report?
Can I just say something first, please?
Yes, please.
I think we need to hear the others. There are some people that have raised their hands. Let's hear them first, and then we hear Cathbert.
Right.
Jürgen, who are they?
Yeah, there's Chief Abion and there is Vera Oyoma.
Okay.
Vera Oyoma, please.
Hello.
Vera.
Vera, please unmute yourself. Vera, please.
Vera.
Can you hear me? Yes, can you hear
now
me?
we can hear you.
Yeah, hello everyone. It's nice to be here.
Hello.
I was just going to make an observation that I did notice from all that we're not including the diaspora. So I noticed that the committee that was set up, I know the number has reached its maximum as discussed, but going forward in the future, I think it's ideal to include the diaspora because we have quite a number of interests from there towards investments and even promoting the intra-African travel. That's just an observation and something I wanted to mention.
Completely agree. Completely agree. I completely agree.
Right. So as far as I think the question of diaspora, again, that could be something what Walter referred to as being able to co-opt. It would be interesting to get your views as we look through into the charter. But remember, this is a very transitory committee. It's not leadership committee for ATB. That proper elections will be held in March. So at that point, Vera, I think it would be important to, maybe what you are bringing to our attention is that in crafting the charter, we must remember that we have a representation from the diaspora.
Yes.
I don't know if you see it. There is Chief Abion also raising.
Yeah, Chief, please.
Thank you very much.
I'm Kitty Pope, and I'm with African Diaspora Tourism in Atlanta, Georgia, in the U.S.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. What we are talking about here is just an ad hoc committee.
Yeah.
The ad hoc committee will have to more or less consult and then get the views of other member countries and present a charter. After all, they're just producing a draft document.
Yeah.
Which all of us will now have access to. All of us will have to contribute to. And because it's an ad hoc committee, it shouldn't be too large, really, because when it gets too large, delayed and so on, they should represent the views of everybody, regardless of where they're coming from, as long as within the membership of ATB. I therefore move to support the nomination of the 5 persons so that we can proceed. And also, we have spent enough time on this as well. I need to move on, let them do their work, let them consult. After all, they have access to the data bank of members. So they can actually relate and liaise with all members with their views and contributions. Because if you now begin to enlarge the reasons to now include one or the other to include that category of persons or individuals. So let us work with these 5. They can consult, they can liaise, they can seek the views of the wider membership, and then let them give us a draft report. That's my view. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chief. That's a very wise suggestion.
Thank you so much. So I think I pass it back to Cathbert.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you so much, Chair. We really appreciate. Can we give them up to the 31st of March, and then we have our AGM on the 1st of April? So that we give them ample time, and within the space we need to, they will be consulting with all of us, actually using the channels.
Yeah, I would even
meeting on the 1st of April.
Yeah,
we will be fooling you all. We can't do that.
Do it on the 2nd, not on the 1st.
Make it the second, okay. But I suggest we call the question and make it for the second, and because we'll discuss
Second.
forever.
Second is a Friday. Second is a Friday, which is good.
I'm just wondering, I'm okay with all of this. I just wonder if this is really enough time. Because February only is a short month. We have a lot of other issues. Corona, everyone is dealing with. I would actually suggest to give it to the end of April, but I'm okay with end of March. I just don't want to stress ourselves.
Jürgen, I think the longer you give it, the more complicated it gets.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you want to get it. I would like it even shorter, because it's not.
Yes.
We're not writing the Charter of the United Nations. This should be a very simple document, and and let's not make it complicated. This is just. It should be a few people who come up with something, they present it, then we can discuss it afterwards. But right now, if you don't get started, you will never get started.
You're right. I agree with Peter.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So it's the 2nd
So
of
that
April?
will be the 2nd of April.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I suggest you call for a vote.
Oh, yes. Chair, where is the chair? Can you unmute yourself, Prof?
Professor Lumala, please call for a vote.
Right. Just hold on. I need to unmute myself.
Okay, unmute.
You need to do that.
Professor, unmute yourself and call for a vote.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we hear you. We hear you, Professor.
Yes. Right. So at this point, I think we need to make a decision that when chair elect, the next meeting will be on 2nd of April 1st. Do we agree on that?
Yes.
Yes.
2nd of April. I think with that in mind, then I like we have discussed most of the other issues. I have finished my part. That's why I was passing it on to Gaspar to make his final remarks and close the meeting.
No, but you have to have a vote. If not, you don't have anything. Call for a vote. Just say, I call for a vote.
Unmute yourself, please. Professor, unmute yourself. Professor, you're muted. You're muted, Prof.
You're muted.
He's
Prof,
dead. No, he's there. It's frozen.
Okay.
Cuthbert, call for a vote.
Okay, colleagues, thank you so much. Those who agree or second the 2nd of April, do we all agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Seconded. So on the 2nd of April, please, colleagues, the committee members, let's work with speed. We have wasted so much time, so we need to.
May I just suggest from the technical part that you call who agrees and who doesn't agree to also to just raise their hand, because I can see and you can see who's raising hands.
May I suggest only someone raise their hand if they oppose? If not,
if you oppose, yes.
If you don't raise your hand, you have agreed.
Anyone who doesn't agree, colleagues?
Anita doesn't agree.
Okay, Anita, can you
explain yourself, please?
Can you explain yourself, please, ma'am? Anita?
Yes, thank you. I thought if you agree, you raise your hand.
No, the other way around. The other way around.
Okay, sorry, I agree.
Okay, no, thank you so much. Thank you so much. No, yeah, it looks like the majority have agreed for us to converge on the 2nd of April.
No, but Cuthbert, it's also have agreed to the following people have been elected as part of the transition committee. Okay?
Anyone who have a different opinion on the members that have been elected to lead us in this process, please, may you show by raising your hand.
Only until the end of March.
Right.
Yes, that's the interim.
Right. If you agree, do not raise your hand.
Okay, no one is raising a hand.
So that means we all agree.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Unanimous.
Yes. Right.
Congratulations.
No, thank you so much, colleagues. We have wasted so much time. We have so much to do. Please, let's join hands together. Let's work together as a team. Let's work together as a team. Let's lift one another and make sure that we actually achieve our objectives to rebrand our continent, rebrand Africa, rebrand our entities. We don't want to put more emphasis on Africa, excluding our businesses we are running. 2021, we are going to do things differently. Hence, I indicated that in our conference, we are going to explore. We don't want a situation where Mr. Alain visits South Africa, he ends in Cape Town and goes back to Seychelles. We want him to be in Zambia. We want him to be in Namibia. These are places that are closer in proximity. Hence, we are saying we are going to take all our delegates to Eswatini. We are going to be hosted there. So let's be part of building African Tourism Board. It's your organization. It's our organization. Let's do the best we can. We really appreciate. Thank you so much. And may the good Lord keep you safe, especially in the midst of this pandemic. South Africa, we are experiencing a scourge, especially on the second phase of COVID-19. But let's stay safe. Let's practice the safety protocols so that at the end of the day, we have so much to do. We have so much to labor in the vineyard within the tourism sector. Thank you so much, colleagues.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Good night.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Good day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.